So I did my research on the activity budgets of Bennett's and Tamar wallabies at the Oklahoma City Zoo. And my name is Lauren Behnken. So just a short intro for you. The enclosure at the Oklahoma City Zoo has two different species of wallabies, the Bennett's wallabies and the Tamar wallabies. So I decided to research both of them. The purpose of this study was to provide more information on the wallaby activity level throughout the day. Also to provide more information on the difference in activity levels of the two species. It has also been proven that an activity budget for zoo animals can be valuable for learning of the welfare of the animal. I had 3 different hypotheses during this study. My first hypothesis was that the Bennett's wallabies would be more active during the morning. My second hypothesis was that the Tamar wallabies would be more active during the morning. And my third hypothesis was that the Bennett's wallabies would be more active than the Tamar wallabies overall. My methods on how I conducted this research: I used continuous focal sampling during 3 different time frames. So I watched the individual for 10-minute increments and recorded each behavior they did and how long they performed each behavior. I chose individuals at random, and I made sure that each wallaby had an entire day of data. My sample size was 4 wallabies, 2 Bennett's wallabies, and 2 Tamar wallabies. In figure 1 and 2, you can see the Bennett's wallabies and the Tamar wallabies. I provided this visual to show that you could easily distinguish between the two species. The Bennett's wallabies was larger in size than the Tamar wallabies. Also, there was a discoloration difference. The Bennett's wallabies had a darker discoloration on their shoulders, while the Tamar wallabies had a reddish discoloration on their shoulders. My ethogram, so this allowed me to record the behaviors that I was observing. So I observed feeding, locomotion, rest, sexual behavior, grooming, and aggression. This ethogram also allowed me to determine if a behavior was active versus inactive. All of these behaviors are active other than the rest, which is an inactive behavior. In figure 3, you can see the Bennett's wallaby activity level throughout the day. The morning time frame is where they spent more time performing active behaviors. So they spent about 79% performing active behaviors in the morning, compared to the midday, which is about 19%, and the afternoon, about 45%. This allowed me to accept my first hypothesis that the Bennett's wallabies would be more active during the morning. Figure 4, this is the Tamar wallabies activity level throughout the day. In the morning, you can see there's about 15%, the midday is about 5%, and the afternoon is about 45%. So this allowed me to reject my second hypothesis because I predicted that the Tamar wallabies would be more active during the morning time frame. But in this figure, we can see that the Tamar wallabies spent more time in the afternoon performing active behaviors. Figure 5, this is comparing the Tamar and Bennett's wallabies activity throughout the day. So in the Bennett's wallabies, there's about a 47% time performing active behaviors, while the Tamar wallabies is about 21%. So this allowed me to accept my third hypothesis because I predicted that the Bennett's wallabies would be more active than the Tamar wallabies overall. Some sources of error that I came across during my research was the visitors. I saw children and even some adults trying to touch the wallabies through the fence. Also shaking the fence in order to get the wallaby attention. And it's proven that some species exhibit abnormalities in their activity budget when exposed to different visitor conditions. So these visitors could have skewed my data slightly. Weather conditions was also another source of error. I visited the zoo 6 different times in order to collect all 10 hours of my data. And there were days that were 75 and sunny, while I had other days that was 45 degrees and extremely windy. So these different weather conditions could have influenced different activity levels from the wallabies. Some importance of this research is it leads to different care needs for the two species. So this may mean feeding them at different times or providing different diets for the two species. This is also important because it may lead to revisiting the enclosure layout to make sure it's best fit for the animals' needs. The enclosure at the Oklahoma City Zoo is just a chain link fence, and this allows for visitors to easily see the animals, but it also allows the visitors easy access to the wallabies. So this might be potentially harmful for their well-being if they're continually exposed to visitors trying to touch them when they don't want to be touched, because they can come up to you and that's fine, but you shouldn't be touching the wallabies if they're not okay with that. Here's some sources from my research, and that's it. Thank you.